A very good afternoon. I would like to do the following. Picture yourself at 22-year-old. Could be your son or daughter, could be a friend, maybe yourself, you're 22 years old. Just think of a person who's 22 years old and you know personally. Keep this person in mind. I will speak to you about politics, culture, and economy. And you know what's fascinating about these three themes, what they have in common, is that politics, culture, and economy, that's what a 22-year-old is all. A 22-year-old European person, being a boy or a girl, or a man or a woman, is politics, culture, and economy. What I mean by this is the following. We used to see people as citizens, as consumers, as friends, as spiritual beings, because they're religious, and as an employee. That's how you normally address people, because they have a specific role. And we all have these roles, of course. We're all employees, we're all consumers. But normally we like to think people in boxes. And the interesting thing about the 20-somethings, Europe's 20-somethings, so the upcoming generation, is that they're not being put in these boxes. They're not only a citizen, they don't perceive themselves as only citizens, they don't perceive themselves as a consumer, they're not buying it, they're blending it in all one. There's oneness. All these roles are being felt and being thought of as one. And yes, they're bloody critical. Yes, they're bloody critical citizens. Yes, they're bloody critical employees. Maybe that annoys you, maybe we feel a bit sad about this, but mostly what we say then is, well, young people don't care about society. They're not interested in politics. They're not buying our products because they don't like it, because they couldn't co-create it, one of these buzzwords. But that's not the right analysis. I mean, the problem is not that they're not interested. One of the issues is a lack of trust and a lack of combining things and a lack of addressing the right themes. If you only address young people, 20-somethings, teenagers in Europe, as citizens, or only as consumers, then they will run off. That's something they don't think it's about them, because they don't see these different roles. The same goes for citizenship. I mean, I know, because I'm doing research, but also I'm doing projects with young people all over Europe, that they're highly committed. But you have to find the right ways, the right means, the right methods, and the right means to actually do this. And so the question is, how do you address them? And then the question is, so where are they? I mean, well, they are where they are. They are in politics, they're in culture, and they're in the economy. What I mean by this is that they are at big festivals. You have the Exit Festival in Serbia, you have the Lowlands Festival in the Netherlands, you have Sziget Festival. You have massive festivals where all these young people are going. Because there is pop culture, because there's movie, because there's culture in general, high, low culture, low culture. They're on the internet, blogs, internet fora, that's where they are. They're on MTV, the famous music channel. That's where they are. And you know what the interesting thing is? All these things, these festivals, MTV, these internet fora, they're all these roll in one. They're commercial, they're mostly commercial, but also cultural. They can be about citizenship, about politics. So these channels where young people are already a combination of these three themes that we're discussing during the next hour. And let me give you an example about what this looks like. And this is an example from my own experience in the Netherlands, but I've also been doing this work in Warsaw and in Belgrade, so it's a European narrative. I will say something about that later. But just to give you an example, for instance, at the Lowlands Festival, it's a three days outdoor festival, 60,000 young people somewhere in the Netherlands. And they're there because the Red Hot Chili Peppers are there, and because there's movie, and there is some ballet, and we're talking about mainstream youth. We're not talking about the higher educated youth, we're not talking about non-educated, just mainstream 22-year-olds. Maybe somebody you envisioned yourself just a few moments ago, maybe not. And at this festival, one of the things I've been organizing with a group of people is a political debate. And we thought, okay, maybe 100, 200 young people come there. Now, if you organize a political debate at a big pop festival, and a good quality-based political debate of 1 hour, 3,000 young people come there. 3,000. I mean, that's the biggest political manifestation in the Netherlands ever has been. Or you do something else. Why don't you invite a professor at a big pop festival, a commercial pop festival. And there's culture, there's high culture, there's low culture. And you ask the professor, please give us in a tent, 1,500 seats, filled, and give us an academic lecture to young people, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. And they're coming. It's fully booked. What I want to say is that if you look to culture, if you look to economy, if you look to politics, they're all the same when it comes to young people. So if you want to include them in your society, if you want to include them in a European narrative, in a national narrative, in a regional narrative, in a local narrative, then you have to use all these three means combined, because that's what they are. They're all these three things together. And then finally, about why this is a European story, because I gave you a Dutch example. Because a European 20-something, a 22-year-old, has many things in common. They all have been influenced, either in Bulgaria, either in Poland, either in the Netherlands, either in Spain, by mobility. There are no borders. There's EasyJet, Ryanair, Sky Europe, all the other low-cost carriers. That's sameness. When it comes to visual culture, a 22-year-old has MTV has always been there, the visual culture of MTV and other means of visual culture. Technology, I mean, we're already discussing it, it's working fabulous today. The way you communicate across borders is something they all have in common. And lastly, a very well-doing economy. Well, I know this is not true anymore, but from the perception, they've been raised by an economy that's only going up. This forms a generation, and this is how a generation sees the world. Politics, culture, economy as oneness. And now let's discuss this issue in our panels. Thanks.